East Riverfront, rather. The one that struck me was the motion, and it's given here as motion by Gesselman, second by Neal, to move forward with planning to have testing done at Riverside Park and have the city environmental engineer review and provide an overview of the studies available and put out a request for a proposal to hire an environmental consultant, which would take all that documentation and put it together. And I think all that kind of went by the wayside when Mr. Lindman stepped up and said, how about we do an environmental, phase one environmental assessment, because that would kind of wrap all that stuff up. So I would welcome recollections of others, but I did contact Mr. Lindman, and he said that the city has hired REI Engineering, and we're able to do this quickly as the phase one environmental assessment will cost less than $5,000. We thought we would be able to have the draft assessment prepared by February, but our conversations with REI are telling us this would not be enough time. In fact, we'll be struggling to have all the information put together for March. And there's other stuff going on there. And it said, Kevin Fable, the city's environmental engineer, is heavily involved with REI in leading the phase one from the city management side. Kevin typically does not complete phase ones as they require extensive time in the overall picture. These are not very expensive to contract out. Kevin will be reviewing the document once in draft form to ensure it is in compliance with the criteria and the deliverable is what we asked for and are paying to receive. So I think we should go back, and I think that's what we directed, to have the phase one thing. So we can go back and amend the minutes to read that and I think it was an adaptation of Alderman Gisselman's original suggestion that we kind of shift a little bit and go with the phase one environmental assessment. So it would still be attributed to you, but it wouldn't be.
Well, but
how do you feel about this?
The wording says specifically to planning to have testing done. I don't know that the testing done is part of the phase one environmental project.
Phase one environmental assessment won't put any holes in the ground at all.
But will there be planning done with regard to further testing in that? And I think that that's more of an historical approach. I'm not sure that there's future planning as part of that. And I think the motion is specifically speaks to planning to move forward with planning to have testing done at Riverside Park.
Okay, I think we get well, she can chime in too, but I think we get the environmental assessment, and then we will know better how to move forward with possible testing. Ms. Polly, have thoughts on this?
Well, I think, so we record the minutes each time. We can go back and just double check of what the actual wording was if it's different than this. I think what ended up coming out of this is the request for proposals for that phase one is the first step in planning to have testing done. I think the ultimate goal is that, or the ultimate thought from this committee that came out of there is that further testing will be done at the park. But in order to get to that and how many holes need to be done, how many tests need to be taken, and where to take it needs to start with just the phase one, which won't give us that information, but that will lead to whether or not a phase two might be recommended, which would give you that recommendation. So even though I think that it says planning to have testing done, maybe that needs to be worded better just to say the first step in planning.
Well, I think I don't know that we want to tinker with that. I think that this pretty much stays, as put, how that comes about in the future is fine. But I think that's the reason for the motion, I think, was specifically with regard to those wording, and how we move forward with that is fine, but I don't know that I want to, at this point in time, tinker with that motion.
Okay. How about if we have them review the audio record and come back? I think the minutes should reflect that we agreed with Director of Public Works Lindman's suggestion to go ahead with a Phase 1 environmental assessment.
Yes, I think it needs to be clear that it seemed like there was consensus that testing was indeed wanted from the committee. And that does not mean that, we can't have the Phase 1, effort done. It's reasonable to do it. I just, considering some of the experiences we've seen in the availability or lack thereof of documentation in the Phase 1 searching of public records, I wouldn't want the Phase 1 to just, well, we couldn't find anything that really was definitive, so I don't really see a need to do anything more. I don't want that to happen because I think we've had enough outcry and enough concern voiced that we have a goal of achieving testing. There's some turning of soil that's going to be happening in that park at some point. We need to be smart about that, and we need to respond to concerns brought to us, not simply from a Phase 1 assessment and leave it there. I want to make sure that planning for testing doesn't go by the wayside.
Okay. I think that is in keeping with minutes, but is it acceptable to the committee to have audio record reviewed and augment that discussion or motion a little bit to specify that there was a Phase 1 environmental assessment directed?
To add that.
I don't think you can do that to them. I mean, that was something that may have came later or something. I don't think you can tinker with that.
We can't tinker with it, but why don't we just have them bring it back?
Recording.
Well, that's fine, but.
I guess I would like them to review the recording, and maybe we could just come back at the next meeting with a clarification on it. If there is.
Review the minutes at that time.
Yeah, because there's no mention here about a Phase 1. So,
I would move that we table approval of the minutes until that happens.
very good.
Correct. We will let staff review that, and if it comes back that we recorded exactly what the audio said, we will let you know that as well.
Then I would ask, when they do review the minutes, I don't remember making the motion to allow dogs on leashes in the Eau Claire River Conservancy. I wouldn't